Hi, Pechits here, and in today's video I'll review the Chisei Heavy Tank from the recently added Japanese Heavy Tank branch. So, let's get started. When it comes to the gun, I think it's safe to say that we can start to see a pattern emerging related to the statistics. Alpha damage did not improve from the Juto and has stayed on the same level of 310 hit points, which for tier 8 is just in the middle of the spectrum. What did in fact improve, however, is the reload time of 8.2 seconds, making the DPM of the Chisei very decent value. It can be improved even more by gun rammer equipment bringing it down to 7.9 seconds, and adrenaline consumable can lower it to 6.8 seconds, while combining them together gives us a reload time of 6.3 seconds. Similarly to the previous tank, Chisei is slightly below the average in the penetration department, but 215mm on AP rounds should hold up strong most of the times. Premium ammunition is not superior as it used to be in the case of Juto, but 265mm on premium AP rounds worked out for me just fine. And although the penetration value itself is not amazing when compared to others, the damage drop-off is not as noticeable as it is for the rest. If those values are still not enough, we can always equip Chisei with calibrated shells equipment and increase penetration on AP rounds by 11mm and by 13mm on premium AP rounds. So to sum up, gun on the Chisei is nothing really extreme, but it can stand up for itself and be a reliable damage dealing machine. Chisei, in contrast to the Juto, finally has workable levels of gun handling. Starting things off with gun dispersion, it is on the accurate side of heavy tank guns in tier 8, with value of 0.344. But what I recommend is to equip the tank with refined gun equipment, lowering the dispersion factor to 0.310, making the accuracy lovely. Aim time did not improve a lot at 5.1 seconds, but for me the gun acted a lot more snappier. We can improve it with vertical stabilizer equipment, bringing aim time to 4.7 seconds, and enhanced gun laying drive equipment, lowering aim time to 4.6 seconds, and by using them together we get a result of 4.2 seconds. Similarly to most of the vehicles in this tech tree line, Chisei has 6 degrees of gun depression as well, and to be frank, it was problematic in certain scenarios. But since it's a heavy tank, it isn't a terrible value by itself. Thanks to the brand new improved vertical stabilizer equipment, we can increase gun depression and elevation angle by 3 degrees, making gun depression 9 degrees, which I don't think I need to mention is a lot. So at the end, we have a pretty reliable gun both in terms of firepower and handling, being nothing too extreme but simply a good gun. Armour is what honestly makes the Chisei shine. To put it simply, this armor in the hands of the right player can be utilized to an extreme degree almost, but it doesn't mean that the tank doesn't have any weak spots at all. Similarly to its predecessor, Chisei has amazing hull armor, but its turret is a little bit lacking. Starting with the hull itself, it is probably one of the best in tier 8. Upper plate is very strong, well angled, and most importantly, it stretches out into the front, making very little place for the lower plate weak spot, which I don't think I need to say is a good thing. While on the lower plate it is not only very small for a heavy tank, but it also has armored drive wheel hubs, similarly to how it used to be on the M6Yo back in the days. The tank however has side plates, but surprisingly they have the same thickness as the upper plate, making them very hard to penetrate and allowing us to side scrape, and although they are angled very well, they are not angled so much as the upper plate, making them slightly less effective. But while talking about side scrape, I should mention that side armor is very decent as well, and at the correct position it can bounce a ton of shots. Turret maybe is not so weak after all, since it shouldn't be penetrated with regular ammunition, but it definitely stands out when compared to the hull. We also need to be cautious about side panels on the turret, because on their own they are very weak, and they are only effective when we're looking directly at an enemy. Mobility for Chisei is simply fine by itself, nothing amazing when compared to other heavy tanks, and it should be just enough to arrive to the positions. But with use of brand new improved suspension equipment, we can make this tank even faster and more agile. This upgrade comes at the cost of additional gun depression, but for me this trade-off is surely worth it, considering how nimble it can make this tank. It should both accelerate and turn faster, which does not only make Chisei more versatile and open for more possibilities, but makes its close quarter combat and brawling potential uncomparably higher. Although I was highly skeptical about this tank at the beginning, I've come to really enjoy it by now. Chisei has more to offer than it seems at first glance, and can be surprising in terms of armor and mobility, which makes this tank great for newer players and more experienced ones. How we play this tank comes down to which equipment we choose. Additional gun depression is the way if you like to play in hold down positions, which I think is suited better towards newer players. While speed increase allows us for more flanking and taking unconventional heavy tank positions, in order to catch enemies off guard. Chisei does not have one definitive playstyle. It can do well in a variety of situations, positions and scenarios. It can be both played frontline as well as support. In other words, it's nearly a jack of all trades. Simply put, Chisei is a very solid combination of firepower, armor and mobility that ranks high amongst tier 8 heavy tanks. It's easy to play and has high potential in the right conditions, but at the end I'm not really convinced it will become the new meta, mainly because of the slightly thinner armor on the turret. Chisei both looks and plays well, and I would encourage players to keep it in their garages, because of how versatile it is. It can be useful from time to time, and besides that, selling tanks at this point will make us lose a lot of credits. Chisei can be useful to both learn how to play heavy tanks and also how to master them to the core, which only gives us more reasons to keep it in our garage. So that's how Chisei presents itself. Definitely a solid pick and probably one of my favorites in the whole tech tree, which I highly recommend to the whole spectrum of players. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more, and see ya!